On today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to assemble this Voxelab Aquila and go an extra step in making sure everything is working smooth on it so you get the best first print on your 3D printer. So let's go ahead and assemble it. If you got an Ender 3, this video will pretty much apply to it because these are about identical, give or take a few little things. So let's get started. First thing you want to do is either watch you a video guide on how to assemble this thing or read your instructions. I recommend doing both because I might forget one or two things and the instructions might have it covered. So go ahead. Go ahead, get the instructions out, give them a fast look over, and it's very, if you assemble one of these, you can assemble this one. So we are on part 1. Let's go over this in extremely detail. I'm going to clean this table off so we can start with just the part that we need, and you can see more of it because I'm bringing the camera closer. This stuff is in the way. We got an instructional video to make. Part 1, we're going to install the Lambda switch and the ZAxis, and that will be these kind of thicker rails that come in the kit. You can see the one with a Lambda switch on it. Now this one will go just like so. You want to make sure the Lambda switch faces the front of your Voxelab Aquila, or basically your Ender 3. You can tell the front because this little knob here for the belt. The bolts that you're going to be using is the MX times 45. They're the longer ones. They do got built-in washers. I got 5 in this pack, but we just need 4 of them. So I'm going to lay these out just like so. I'm going to take one of the Allen heads that fits it, that come in the kit. Look at that, I got it first try. Now I'm going to take the plastic off of these axes here and remove the rod out of it, because that rod goes to your stepper motor. There's also a little plastic tube inside that keeps this from getting damaged. Also, if you ever need replacements to these, you can sometimes find these at your hardware store. So I'm putting it up on its side so I can get to these screw holes here. Now you do not want to lay it flat on the bed. I know some people do, but that can damage your brackets and stuff. I don't recommend that. Just get somebody to help you hold it up or lean it up against something. When installing this bracket, make sure it faces the front, and it will basically go just like so. One of the mistakes some people do when they're assembling this is they tighten this all the way down. You want to wait to tighten these bolts so you can make sure everything is square. So once we got this side, we're going to go ahead and install the other bar on the bottom. It goes on the same way as we just did this one. So it's looking extremely good. These is still loose. If you can see, I can actually turn these. That's what you want. You want to be able to move them side to side and everything. Do not tighten them down. That's a beginner mistake. Do not tighten these all the way down. These might need adjustment, and you need to make sure they're square. Sometimes the fitment ain't good. You might have to use a shim. A small shim, that is. Just something to wedge under it sometimes. Most of the time you don't, though. About 98% of the time you don't have to do that. This is step 2. Install ZAxis motor kit. So we're going to need the type 1 screw. The type 1 screw is this guy too. Don't panic, it's in the kit. If you ain't got it, check inside this. ZAxis motor 1. This is the ZAxis motor 1. You can tell it's got the place for the rod here. It's also got 2 little bitty Allen heads that basically tightens up once this rod gets inside of it. Just like so. We need a M420 hexagon socket countersunk. This is the countersunk screws. They 2 of them. It calls for both of them actually. This is the back side. This is where the stepper motor on and off switch is. So this guy goes in just like so. And it uses these countersunk screws that we just got out of the pack. And while you're at it, you want to make sure everything is tight. So go ahead and check the top of this if we can. Okay, that one even tight. Let's check this one. That one's tight now. Now these should go in easy. If they don't, you need to back them back out and start them till they do, because they're trying to cross thread and they will never perform the way they should. Sometimes these do need spaced out, and as you can see, you do got a lot of twists, so you want to make sure this is as square to this as you can get it, and you need to square it up to this. So let's just eyeball this and just snug it up a little. Leave it kind of loose for now, because we come back once we add a wad and tighten it. We just don't want it moving a whole lot. The wad goes down just like so, and then this will tighten up on it. Now we're going to leave this loose still too. Even though the instructions might say tighten that down, don't do it. Step number 3 is installing the ZAxis. So we're going to be installing that and the belt. To tell the ones you need from each other, the one with the 2 holes drilled close together, as you see here, goes on top. This is the one we will be using. It's got the holes spaced very far apart. So you will need 2 of the screws here, which is M5X by 14. You will need 1 of these. Basically, it locks down the filament tube, the clear filament tube. You will need 1 of those. They send you 2. These do go bad, so if you're going to be 3D printing a lot, pick you up some more or upgrade it. But yeah, these just press down, and then your clear tube goes in it, which you will see here when we go to install it. And all the spare parts that I won't be using today, I'm going to put in here in a little baggie, because one day I might need this. On the piece here, you will see these openings. So those openings on that piece is for this little notch here, because if you install it without the openings, it don't set level. So we want to flip it over, and you can see we fit level now, and we put a screw in it, actually 2 screws. So we're going to line it up with it laying down. Makes it a whole lot easier. We're going to hold it right there, get 1 of the bolts. We're going to go ahead and just snug this up. We don't want it all the way tight yet. We're going to snug it up till we start the other bolt. You can see the little hole down in there. There you go. You can see it pretty good right there against that white piece of paper. That can be difficult to get started, so I'm going to show you a trick. Just take your little piece of tape, put your bolt on it, wrap your tape around the head of the bolt, and it won't come off. And then when you get some threads on it, you can reach in there and remove the tape. The bolt will stay. Just like so. It's that simple. Another thing, you want this straight. This does got some movement. You can see. You want this as straight as you can get it. So when you tighten this, make sure that's straight. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this part. Needs adjustment. We can always adjust it later. Now the next step is installing your little nozzle here. If you bought one of these and upgraded this, then go ahead and install your upgraded part. But most people buy the kit, they don't think about upgrading this. You can print an upgraded version of this too. Because what it is, this breaks right here for your filament. So I recommend going ahead, printing your spare off on your printer when you get going good, or investing in a upgraded one. So this is part 4. We're going to install the extrusion kit. I about didn't say that right. We will need the hot end for this, which is here. You will need your ZAxis passive block. That's what it looks like. You will need 1 M514. And we will also need the belt, wherever the belt got off to. So we're going to go ahead and feed the belt through this. Not sure which way it goes. This is in the back. Your hot end faces forward, just like so. Let's go ahead and just slide this on. So your wheel will be underneath that belt, just like so. Oh, that fits so good. This part basically goes on just like so. You want to make sure the belt does come down, which it is. We got it installed just right. We got one bolt that goes through here, and it's also got that notch for this. Also, you want to leave this loose right now because this will move up and down, if you can see. And we got to put a belt tension and get all that straight before we tighten this bolt down. Another mistake a lot of people make, because it don't say it in the instructions. It's just something you need to do. Next, we're going to install the Xaxis. So we're going to need two M5x14s. The Lambda switch right here, which is in the pack. And the belt tensioner. First thing you want to do is disassemble this, because you can't put your belt on it with it not disassembled. Your belt will go over top of it just like so. Now you got a notch on this. Make sure that notch faces towards this. If not, your belt's not going to fit the way it needs to. And if you do make it go, it's going to be off axis and stuff and going to cause you bad prints. So make sure that notch is like that. Common sense, but something that ain't in the instructions. Well, it's not common sense if you ain't never done this before. See, it fits a whole lot better. That notch is made for that. So you got a screw, it goes on both sides. We're going to go ahead and start this one. And just as the other 10 screws we put in so far, we're just going to snuggle them up and leave them loose. We want to see how these belts act, because this got movement on it too. The next step, you got little tabs on the bottom of your little extruder here, and this belt hooks into it. Very simple setup, but getting it to the latch can be a pain sometimes. There you go, just like so. You want to do both sides. Next, we're going to need this. And we're going to need the little bolts that came in the kit. These are the M4x8. You need 2 of them. And you can go ahead and tighten this down because, yeah, this has no adjustment that you need to worry about. Step 6 is install the ZAxis. Okay, ZAxis time. So you want to make sure all your cables and everything is loose and stuff. And this is just going to fit down just like so. And the wheels might be a little tight in some areas, but you want it to go kind of smooth. And this bar, you can see right here, fits up in this gold little hole here. And you have to twist this, just like so. Now you can grease this. I always add grease later. That fits pretty good. No comment, guys, no comment. I was filming the video, not watching what I did. And guess who installed the hot end upside down? I installed it upside down. So let me fix this. And you be mindful of that. Mistakes happen. Even I make mistakes. That's what this assembly video is about. You know? Now that we flipped the hot end, let's go ahead and do what I've just said before again. So we just want to go ahead and set this down. Now, don't forget your little rod here on the back. We need to put this back in here, and this will go in this gold piece here, and then you twist it, and everything should work pretty smooth. Okay, before we get into any adjustments or anything like that, we're going to take this piece right here, and we're going to set it on top, just like so, and it uses 4 M5 by 25s. I don't know if you've seen it in the video, but I did have to twist this over just a little bit. That's how come we wanted this to stay loose down here at the bottom. Now we're going to go ahead, since there ain't no movement in this pretty much, we're going to tighten these all 4 down. So before I tug these all the way down, take you something and check square with this. You can use a little square, or you can use a business card, or something that's square. Just put it up in there and make sure everything's in line. You don't want it not to be square. So you can tell we're fitting great. Let's go ahead and tighten it on down since everything's snug. So I'm going to go ahead and send the axis back up to the top. I'm just spinning this by hand right here. And I'm feeling for any tightness or as it getting up towards the top, it should be smooth. Since we do got the top square, we're going to try to get the bottom square now, which should be easy to do once we tighten it, because the top is. So technically the bottom should be too. So I'm going to show you how I do this the same way. I put this on here. You can see we're not square. We are not at all square. I mean, we're close. We're a little bit off, but once we tighten these down, that's probably a fix that. Check it again. Oh yeah, that's much better. Now let's see if we can get the other side the same way and check it the same way. It might be a little bit more difficult, but you get the idea. So let's go ahead and mount the screen. This is the screen, basically I guess you would call it a shelf, screen mount bracket, and you got these little T-nuts. So you need an Allen wrench to fit in this. And as you turn this, the T-nuts turn. That makes sense to you? It should. So you can snug these up a little bit, then loosen them real fast, and it basically just makes these extremely loose for you to be able to move. And they will go into this well, just like so, when you get it fitting good. Just like so. Now we can tighten the T-nuts up. So now the T-nuts is snugged. We're going to tighten them all up. Don't over tighten them, but you can snug them up pretty good. So the screen just pops in place. Very simple. The V goes on top, and then you plug it in. The cable is already on the bottom of this. The cable's underneath. It's easy to plug in. I done plugged it in. Now let's go ahead to the next step, which is the spool holder. But before we do the spool holder, we're going to go over and tighten the rest of belts and stuff up. This is the front of this. It's very simple. You can see we do got a little movement here and here. That's because this isn't tight. So we're going to snug this up. Before we snug it, we're going to loosen it. We're going to pick up on it, and then we're going to tighten it. So I'm taking all this stuff back loose. I'm going to need washers to get that up and down movement to stop. So these bolts is a tad bit too long, and they won't tighten up good, and that lets that belt move, and it can make your belt be off center and cause excessive wear to your belt. So you want to make sure this is straight and your belt is straight. So before I go any further on assembling this, I'm going to go ahead and do this belt tensioner mod. I'm going to be showing you how to fix this adjustment thing. It's a very common issue with these, that this twists and causes belt wear. And what it is basically these two bolts, it goes in the same basically hole when they bottom out on each other. Using washers can help that. I'm going to show you the way I like to do it. This will be the same on basically any one of these that's got this style belt tensioner. So I got both bolts removed from both sides. So I painted this bolt with some fingernail polish. This is one of the spare bolts that come in the kit. It's extra long. You can cut it down a little bit or go to your hardware store and get you one. But we want one that'll fit all the way through, because this is the upgrade we're going to be doing. This is the same thread pattern, so you ain't cutting no new threads or anything. And this will go through both sides. And you can see it's not going to interfere with anything. We could actually trim this bolt down, but this will do for now. We're going to take a little washer and put on it. I also painted this to match. And a little bitty nut. Now the nut and the bolt didn't come with the kit. I had to get them separate. Well, this fit this. Too big. Okay, there we go. So this does got threads still in it, so you want to go ahead and snug this side kind of tight, but not all the way yet. Leave it where you can move it, and then run this nut all the way up. So you can see we are moving just a little, but we want to make sure a belt is level as it can be and not going to rub, especially once we torque everything down. Now I'm going to take this little tool came in the kit and I'm going to tighten this up. And you don't have to hold the other end because it's tight on the threads, and you don't want to over tighten it because you can damage this. Look at that, no movement at all. It's a simple fix. All you had to do was just use a longer bolt, put your tap on the back side of it, run it all the way through. Don't know why they don't do that from the factory. We're going to go ahead and put an end caps on these up top. Come in a little packet here. Can't miss them, they just snap on. It makes a cleaner look. You can leave them off. I mean, it ain't going to hurt anything. So I'm going to try to get these T-nuts started. These T-nuts is not starting. I don't know why it's not starting, but it wasn't starting. There we go. Maybe they start we use the right bolts. So we're going to go around now and check all of screws. Make sure they're snug. So now we're going to check and tighten this motor up. Everything's working extremely smooth. I can't complain with it. We're going to tighten these guys up right here that we left kind of not snug. We're going to make sure this goes down. No hitching or anything, especially down towards the bottom. Everything feels good. Snug it down. Also snug down the wad. Well, since we got this modified and tight, we shouldn't have to worry about that bending or coming loose on a belt, causing, point shifts or anything like that. Next is the wiring, which is fun. We need a power cable. This is a power cable. And step 9 is what we are on. Step 10 will be bed leveling, which will be another video. But we're going to hook everything up and see if it powers on. All that good stuff. This little plug-in is already ran for you. It's underneath here, and it goes in just like so. It'll go in one way, so don't force it if it don't fit. We're going to come up here and install this. Make sure you can see me pretty good. So we're going to take the filament tube, mash this in, this little black thing right here, this little tab, and push this in all the way as far as we can get that. Once you get it in, just let it go. Next, we got the rest of the wiring harness. We got labels here, X and E. You do not want to get these mixed up, but it's very common to do so. Now when you do your cable wiring, don't forget you got a little cable hook right here that this will go in. You can see it right here. It's kind of a pain, but it will help hold this in place if you can get it to snap. Okay, make sure nothing's going to hit. Take your time when you move this stuff. Nothing's hitting. We've got plenty of room. It'll go up and down. So now I'm going to try to mess with the wiring a little bit, because I don't like how it's ran. So let's undo this, separate this just like so. Now the bed can move on its own and not come in contact with this. This can stay right where it is and not have any issues of rubbing against this. So that should work out just fine. Let's go over everything, make sure everything's tight, and do some final adjustments. To adjust your axis on this, there's a little nut that goes on this wheel. You can tighten it or you can loosen it. And that kind of shoves that wheel down in there. See, this is a looser fit for us. Do we got wobble? Got a little up and down. Can you see it move? So we're going to tighten that just a little till that goes away. You might be able to see the wheel better, but watch real close, watch it move as we loosen and tighten it. It's kind of got an offset to it. You can see now the wheel is completely loose, free spinning. Tighten it up some. We're in contact now. You don't want to over tighten this. You don't want to leave it too loose either. Semi-snug is all you need it. Make sure it runs up and down good. Sure you ain't got no side to side. Everything looks extremely good here. Now you also have that for the hot end here, one of those. But our hot end, yeah, it's a little loose. It's under here, I think. Oh, it is. Loose again. So this side you can see is loose. Let's go ahead and tighten the nut up on the back side and see what we got. Can't turn it no more. We can if we force it, so let's go this a tad bit tighter. There we go. The bottom, is it turning? No, it's good. Now that should be plenty tight enough. So now let's check the wheels. And these wheels fit extremely good. You got one on each side you need to adjust. I'm going to go ahead and just give them a little tightening. See if that helps us out. Because we weren't as smooth as we could have. Look how loose that is. It needs to go a little bit tighter. We shouldn't be able to fully spin that. So, let me go the other way. A little bit more. Okay, that's very tight. Now let's do this one. This one still free spins by hand, just a little. Go a little bit tighter. Still, go a little bit more. You want to do this little at a time. Okay, that's good. So that's got all the wheels tight. Everything is the way it should be. Let's try the bed out. Oh, that bed's so much smoother than before. The final thing to do to this before we even level bed is make sure we are set on 115 volts for US. My unit was done preset to 115 volts. Just double check that depending where you're at. So it should be ready to come on. Make sure it's tight. You don't want a loose plug in there. And then I'm going to clean everything up and we test fire this up and see if it works. So let's see if this actually turn on now and not go poof. Oh, it starts. Yay! This is the display. Very nice. This is the control. It ain't touchscreen, but we can move. We can go back. We can disable stepper, auto home. I don't want to auto home this because I'm not labeled to bed. Because I'm going to make that a separate video, but I want to see it work. So I'm going to mash down on this bed and tighten these up. So what I did is basically I tightened my bed down. I mashed it down as far down as I can and tightened it. And now I'm going to auto home this. And if everything's hooked up right, it should auto home. I seen an extruder move. And the extruder shouldn't have moved. Take 2 on the auto home. I think I had the cable hooked up for the axis hooked up to the actual extruder for the filament extruder up here. So I seen that turning, and that should do that on the auto home. So let's go to settings. What did I find that setting at? Control, that's it. Auto home. Oops. When I seen the filament thing move, I was like, oh, we got that hooked up on. Okay, it's auto home. I'm going to try it one more time. I'm going to take this wad here and I'm going to spin this. Let's do another auto home on it and see how it does. Auto home good. So that's how simple it is to actually assemble this. Well, it ain't too simple, but you get it. I went ahead and did this little modification here on the belt tensioner. I have a separate video on that as well, but I went ahead and put it in this assembly video because why not just go ahead and do it while you're putting it together. The bed leveling, that's a whole separate video. I will be uploading that soon. It will be a pretty detailed video. I'm not going to include it in this one because this video is pretty lengthy as it is. So, hopefully you found it helpful. Let me know what 3D printer brought you to my video. How you found it, if you knew. And don't forget to get subscribed. And if you're a returning subscriber, I appreciate you watching another one of my videos. Hopefully you enjoyed. Maybe you learned something new. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.